Hello, my name is Bernadette McDonald, and I'm the host of What is Your Real Name? Brought to you by Adoptions from Quebec, Alakesh, and AACDQ. Our guest today is Donna, and she has a very interesting dynamic to her story. Brought all the way from India to Canada to a totally different ethnicity family. So Donna, please share your journey with us and welcome.
Thank you, Bernadette. I'm so happy to be here. This is just an incredible experience where I get to share this. And yes, like you said in your introduction, I came all the way from India. That is a flight. Actually, it's interesting because it's actually like 11,000 kilometers away.
Oh, that'd be a long flight.
Right. So yeah, my story, it started, I was 17 months old when I was adopted from India to Canada. I was in an orphanage. I was actually, from my understanding, is I was on the doorstep and I was placed in the orphanage. Now, when the time came for me to be adopted, my parents who were adopting me, they had another little girl lined up, or child, and unfortunately she wasn't strong enough to make the journey.
Yeah.
So I was next up. I was the next strongest girl.
Wow.
So I came. I flew over they brought me over to Canada, and it's interesting because my mother had actually found this ad in the Vancouver Sun of this lady was bringing these children over from India.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I actually came over with a couple other children, and it was interesting. I don't remember.
Would have been through an agency, if you will, then.
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
So, but that is an interesting question. I would probably think it was through.
Well, that's possible.
Or a lady that was privately doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I came over and I was adopted into a very white family. So I was like this little chocolate chip in this white family.
Wow. A perfect mix for a cookie.
Right?
Right?
So it's been an interesting dynamic because from the outside, my whole growing up, the dynamic from the outside perspective looked very, very well and happy. And we were like a very religious upbringing I had.
Okay.
And
but not
very
the same
staunch
religion that you would embrace, I'm assuming?
No, but I was made to, this is the way it was, and this is the way you're going to be, and you don't have options. If you do, that's not what we want.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I actually have an older siblings, a brother who's 7 years older, and a sister.
And are they biological to your adopted parents?
They are their biological children.
Okay.
So I was basically plucked out from India, dropped into Canada, and being like, hello.
Import.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been an interesting dynamic growing up in a household that is, well, for one, different color. Not that that's, I'm not trying to make that
Well, it's not a bad thing. It's just different.
It is. And, growing up, being called, well, who's that chocolate baby they have? Like,
oh, I like chocolate.
Like, right? Like, chocolate can't be bad.
A little bit of chili in there, a little bit of salt. It's all good.
Right? So, yeah, it's just like over the years growing up, it was, by the time I was like 10, like growing up in my younger years, my older siblings, they were around, but not like a lot, like that I can really remember. It was more in the teen years that, my brother and I kind of hung out more, and my sister, she moved out.
Was there a big age difference between you?
Yes. So my brother, my adopted brother, is 7 years older than me. And my sister, they're not adopted, it's just
you.
She's 9 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
So there is, once I got into my teen years, it was kind of like I was raised as an only child then, because they were gone doing their things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up there was a lot of dysfunction behind the closed doors.
Okay.
And you don't really realize how it impacts your life until later on.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the effects, and you just don't think you just thought that was normal. That was just the way.
Exactly. If you don't see different, then you don't know different.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's been interesting because, I grew up going to private schools and being, shoot off at age 14 to private.
So in a sense, you were adopted into a privileged family.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. I guess that's how some would see it.
Yeah.
And, but it was just, again, it was the whole religious thing of, you got to go to these Christian schools. You're not going to public school because that's just bad.
Yeah. And
so, I mean, it was interesting because I had to go to schools that, my dad picked out, and I wasn't allowed to pick and choose, and that made me so mad because it was just like, well, how come, my older siblings can go to the schools they want, but I can't?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So finally it came down to, if they wanted me to graduate, I said, I'm going to go to this school.
Pull the punches.
Right. So anyway,
did they ever teach you your culture?
No, it was never offered to me. I mean, I was told as young as I can remember that, yes, I was adopted. So that was never hidden from me at all. What was taken away, though, was the opportunity to learn about my culture, to have the accessibility to even, be allowed to think that way. And growing up being one different color, because I tan blue beautifully and everybody else in my household burns.
So do I. I get mistaken for Portuguese all the time, and yet I'm French, right? So it's like, all right.
Right. So, yeah, just growing up being, you have these questions and of,
who you are, where you're from, why this, why that.
Why am I short? Why do I not think the way they do? Why am I always the one that gets in trouble? Why am I the one that gets the brunt end of all the shit.
I can understand that. That's okay.
But
Beep.
it's like, but they can do it. Why can't I? Right? So it felt like there was favoritism, right? Of, well, you know, and my parents, they had experienced a loss when they got me. And so it's just like growing up, even though it was never told to me, I felt like I was wanted, but I wasn't wanted.
You were the replacement.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. That would feel like that, you know. And so then it felt like I became like the punching bag for all this dysfunction in this house.
Oh, so bad. I'm so sorry you had that type of life. But
Well,
I'm
you know,
glad you're here to express it. Like, I can't even fathom what it would be like to be denied everything.
right. It's been a hard course. I'm not gonna lie. It's you know, I've had to learn some pretty hard lessons throughout my life, and it's all due because, you know, of people pleasing, right? Not being allowed to voice my voice and being afraid to say what I want to say because God's going to get you, or, you know, you're not allowed to do that.
Or you
So
can
you live
offend
in
someone, yeah.
right? So you live in this constant fear of eggshells.
Yeah.
Right? Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to do that? Oh, but today I can do that, but will I be able to do that
Tomorrow.
again?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like there was a lot of so much trust broken. And adoption, it can be such an amazing experience. It really can. And I'm not saying all of my adoption was horrible. I'm not saying that. There is some good moments throughout my life, absolutely. But what I want to point out is just the fact that a lot of us kids who get adopted get denied being heard and seen for who we really are.
What would you suggest to anybody that you knew that was about to adopt somebody?
Be open. Come from a place of pure unconditional love from your heart, not from your mindset of this is going to look good. This is going to make us feel superior. Come from a heart space, true heart space, and be willing to appreciate the child you have and open to teaching them about where they came from. It doesn't mean they're going to choose that, but giving them the option that they were given that opportunity, so at a later time, if they want to experience it and find out more about themselves, they can.
Have you ever had an interest in finding your biological parents?
It's interesting. I've always, like, you know, in the back of my mind, it's never really been a big thing. But a few years back, I did do Ancestry DNA kit, you know, the little thing. So, right? Set it off, wait 6 weeks. But yeah, so I did that, and I haven't had any connections, and, you know, I kind of pop in there randomly, so to speak. And
so when was the last time you were in there?
Oh gosh, probably I'd say in all honesty, I like to say 6 months ago, but it's probably been a good solid year.
Yeah, I think it might be time to go check out. What would you do if you went back to check it out and found a message from a sibling or your parent, one of your parents, your biological parents, I should say? Like,
I'm like, holy shit.
yeah.
I'd be like, this is like, I would be, I like to say how I think I would feel, but in all honesty, in that moment, I don't know. I'd be overcome with a lot of emotion. Exactly. I know that. After that, I don't know.
Do you know what your first couple of questions would be? Or what information you would want to know?
What's the story? Would be my first question, is what is the story? And then my second would be, I don't hate you. I don't regret anything. You came, you did the best thing you knew.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the situation.
Exactly.
So I just want to know who I look like, if I'm short or if I'm tall like you, or do I have siblings? Mm-hmm. And it's not to take away from the fact that, I had parents in Canada who raised me to the best of their ability and know-how. Mm-hmm. It's just opening that chapter so I can heal that chapter.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that would be exactly what I would say. And if it was my dad, I'd ask the same thing. I'd be like, what's the story?
Well, I suggest in the very near future that you go and have a little look, because you'd be surprised how many cousins you can get overnight.
Right?
Serious. And I found out, like, when I did mine, I had to laugh. Never even fathomed the idea of having siblings. Don't ask me why. I was on a mission to find my twin sister.
No.
Not even. I had already prior, years ago, been looking for my biological father and gave up that ghost. I had done it for about 10 years and sort of gave it up. Nowhere at any given point did I fathom that I could potentially have other siblings other than my twin. So when I got onto Ancestry, the same thing. And I'm going through and I'm seeing pages and pages and pages and pages. And it's like, who are all these people, right? But I come to have a genealogist, that's on my father's side of the family, who does for the Leduc family, which is my biological last name. And, like massively large families, massively large, like one of 26, one of 19. It's like, all right, so then you got all those, and then you got all their branches, and you got all their siblings, and then you got all their cousins. And I joke with my daughter, because I always say, if I ever win the lottery and all my family comes out of the woodwork, you don't know them. It's like, no, there's too many. Yeah,
right.
It's always been an ongoing thing. And I would assume with you being from India, and excuse my ignorance if it's not correct, that they tend to have larger families also.
It kind of seems like that is what we are showing over here in this side of the world, is that is the norm, to have a huge family. And I like to think that my mother gave me the best shot she could have, because over there, girls aren't as highly valued as if you're a boy.
And
And
so sad for that.
so it's just like, but that, that's just the culture that it is over there, right?
Well, exactly.
For us being here in Canada, that's foreign and it's not normal, right?
Well, exactly.
Not normal, just
unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar,
So it's just like, she gave me the best shot at life, and look at, I'm here, I'm talking to you.
Exactly.
And I'm getting my story out slowly, and I have big visions for what I want to do to help others.
I absolutely have to say thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing your story. It's an eye-opener for me also, and I'm pretty sure it will be for a few people watching also, as to the dynamics of different cultures mixing, different graphics, where you're from, where like there are so many different aspects to everybody's journey and story that it just blows me away. But I thank you so much, and we shall be talking again at some point, I'm sure. But my name is Bernadette McDonald, the host of What Is Your Real Name? Adoptees from Quebec, aacdq.org. And we are on YouTube. And feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you.
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye for now.